I recently went down a rabbit hole about toning, and I've read so many articles and heard so many experts talk about how this is just not possible. And on one hand, I understand it's not possible to firm up or soften a muscle, thus creating tone. But I wanted to break it down a different way and tell you that yes, in spite of everything that you read, I believe toning is possible, and I'll explain why. So, when you're looking in terms of muscle definition, we have to look at the density or the thickness of the epidermis, your subcutaneous fat, and the muscle underneath. So, if you don't have a lot of muscle, and perhaps you've got quite a bit of subcutaneous fat, then you're definitely not going to see much muscle tone. Now, in training, if we're able to recomp, which is simultaneously gaining muscle and losing fat, which is a slow process, we're going to talk about that. But you think about recomping fat loss, so the subcutaneous fat decreases and the muscle under the fat increases, thus creating tone. So over time, you're able to see the musculature more easily as your body fat levels diminish and your muscle increases. If that makes sense. How do we do this? This is something that, number one, if you are a newbie to training, well, let's say you got started in the last 1 to 4 years, that's typically newbie, and you can experience what's called newbie gains, which means that you don't need that much stimulus in order to create a change in body composition. Now, if you are a trained athlete like myself, this is technically not good news, but we can counteract this. First and foremost, if you're already pretty lean, it can be tough to put on muscle. And I'll just say that. So if you are kind of on that outlier side of things, as a woman, if you're, say, below around 15% body fat, you're going to have a harder time with recomping because, baby, you're already there. So you are already lean. Now, if your body fat percentage is a bit higher, now we've got some room to play here. You don't necessarily have to adjust your diet too much because you've got some reserves, some energy reserves in fat in order to help with body recomposition. So these are two ways where you can easily accomplish toning by gaining muscle and losing fat. Now, if you are a more seasoned athlete, if you're trained, then it becomes slightly more difficult, but doable. I want you to think about patience and understanding that if you were to set the goal of muscle gain and then fat loss, that this is going to happen a lot more quickly. But with that muscle gain, there's fat gain as well. So there's a period where you're going to be uncomfortable in your skin, or you potentially could be. So if you don't want to dedicate, let's say 90 days, so we've got 3 months plus another month to lean down, so that's 4 months where you can make incredible changes in your physique. I would say give yourself 6 months to a year and just be patient and focus a lot on protein intake. So you want to make sure you're getting enough protein, make sure you're getting enough carbs. So in terms of protein, you're looking at 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight, give or take. And with carbs, you really want to have moderate to high carb intake and eating at around maintenance calories. So you don't want to be in a deficit, you don't want to be in a surplus. And of course, from day to day, this can change. So on leg day, you can be in a bit of a surplus. Let's say on a non-training day, you might be in a bit of a deficit, and overall, you hit that maintenance. So, you just want to focus on making sure you're getting enough food, your big compound movements, being consistent, and focusing on progression. So over time, you want to increase the volume in your training and or increase the amount of weight that you're lifting. And understand that that post-workout meal is so important for body recomposition. So post-workout, we're a lot more sensitive to carbs. So we're able to assimilate and use carbs a lot better. So the time when you're gonna have that big meal with low fat, high moderate to high protein, and high carbs is post-workout. And this is going to help to change your body. So I want you to think about another training principle or eating principle, which is something that I've really followed for the last number of years without knowing the name of it, and it's called G-Flux. So I want you to think about increasing your overall work capacity and slowly increasing your caloric intake over time. And this is one of the great things about toning a muscle or body recomposition, is that you start becoming a fat burning machine, in that the more muscle you gain, the more calories you will burn. And instead of thinking in terms of scarcity and, really trying to diet and watch yourself, think about training like a beast most days, getting in a lot of steps, getting in enough activity. This doesn't mean hours of cardio. It just means get out and do more. Really increase your work capacity if possible. We have to balance that lifestyle and balance recovery as well. But the idea is to burn more and eat more. And this in turn is going to help with body recomposition. But just to summarize, this is going to take time. This is something that you need to be patient. Take your progress pictures, make sure that you're taking measurements, get body fat caliper testing if possible. Or what you could do is you could get a starting DEXA scan, and then 6 months later, get another DEXA scan. And body weight, it may or may not change. That's the thing, is that we're looking at an overall reduction in body fat percentage, but an increase in muscle mass. So you may step on the scale, let's say you started out at 180, and you step on the scale 6 months later, obviously you're gonna have some time in between where maybe you'll just test it, see where you are. But the scale maybe goes up a couple pounds or goes down a couple pounds, but your waist has come in 3 inches, and perhaps you've put on 1.5 inches on your shoulders. So your body completely changes. And this is what I consider to be toning. So let me know what you think in the comments below. I know the experts talk about it like it is something that it's not possible. You can't tone. But when we're looking at the tone, the muscle tone of the body, if you have a decrease in body fat percentage and an increase in muscle, you're definitely gonna have a better muscle tone overall. If you made it this far, thanks for watching, and let me know in the comments what you'd like to see next. Whether it's a training video, food, whatever it might be, looking to do some new things with the channel and kind of mix things up a little bit. So again, thanks for watching. Until next time, train smart and train hard, y'all.